This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris, and I'm energetic as all get out because I haven't slept in a day and a half. But hey,
it makes no sense. Counterintuitive. Hopped up on that drugs.
Slap happy. Okay, who is our guest today?
It is I, Hopeless Peaches, sleep deprived.
Hopeless Peaches, what do you do with your YouTube channel?
Well, perfectly suited for the topic of today, I talk about art and commentary on art. So, this is my thing. This is my safe space right now. I basically talk about art discussion and talk about like arguments about that people discuss, and just for a bit of spice, I also do some story time speed paints because my life is very interesting and you should all listen about it.
Somebody's got a birthday coming up.
Yes. Send gifts.
She said gifts with a T, not with a FS. Gifts, right? Because gifts are like the memes. All right. Anyways.
Send gifts.
Today is what, Will?
Like gifts.
What is today?
It's Faceoff Friday.
What do we do for Faceoff Friday?
We debate a topic, and our judge gets to decide who wins, like in an actual courtroom. Or if we both have terrible arguments, the judge can just go ahead and throw it out and make their own argument, and that's that.
But we also
we both go to jail
last week that if the judge cannot make a decision because the arguments are so solid, then the judge goes to jail and the winners are revered. I can't.
I can't go to jail again.
just like a real courthouse. That's definitely how this works.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So today's topic is Cel-Shading, the best art style for a video game to last forever. And Will is defending. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Before we tell you what we're defending, you got to choose who's going first.
Me?
Yeah.
I have choice?
Yeah.
Oh. Eeny, meeny, miny. Let's go, Will.
Yes, every time. Every time.
I go first all the time.
Sorry, but Chris, you always talk. You just won't shut up. I want to hear some nice Will voice for a while.
Good. I unfortunately think I know where Chris is going to go with this, so I'm pretty certain that I'm going to lose.
So which one are you picking?
I'm going to be pro Cel-Shading as the best art style for video games to last forever. Okay, so
interesting.
So the prompt is Cel-Shading the best art style? And I say yes, and let me tell you why, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
I object. No, I'm just kidding.
No, shut up, Chris. You didn't say that rule. You don't get to do it now.
All right, fine.
A game's graphics are just as important as are just as important as the plot for relaying story and identity. Graphics are constantly pushing the edge of the uncanny valley, especially games nowadays. Colors have become brighter, the character edges have become cleaner, and facial animations have become extremely realistic. However, with each progressive system generation, causes the best-looking games from the previous generation to look dated. And with games becoming more photorealistic, like Forza, Modern Warfare, which is kind of a terrifying game to play because it's like actually feels like you're killing people now. And Battlefield, games are just starting to hit a wall where pushing for graphics to look ultra-realistic causes them to feel and look very similar to each other. They begin to lose their identity and unique flavor because they're trying to push this super photorealistic art style, and there's only so many ways you can make a tree look. Stop riding the ship, Chris. You're distracting me. There's only so many ways you can make a tree look photorealistic without the tree just essentially looking at the same tree in each game. However, with Cel-Shading, a game can go for a more realistic art style or express themselves through a more stylized artwork. And because of Cel-Shading looks great, and also it's not necessarily as complicated as trying to go for a photorealistic art style. It can look really good across generations. So you can go back to the GameCube and play games like The Wind Waker, and looks just as good now as it did back then. There is not like that going back a generation and realizing, oh wow, this actually looks really terrible. It still holds up today. And because it still holds up, and because it's so stylized, a lot of these games that actually do cell shading are known for their art style. So things like Borderlands, it really is just another looter shooter. It's very similar to other games. However, that art style really defines it. Same thing with like Jet Set Radio Future, Breath of the Wild, obviously, Wind Waker, Gravity Rush, a whole bunch. Persona 5, Chris, I'm surprised you didn't try to pick this topic to defend it because of Persona.
Persona 5 is actually not cell shaded.
It's in the list. I found it. It is considered cell shading. I looked it up.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, you should, because
it's not on Wikipedia. It's not on Wikipedia.
Well, I look at deeper sources than Wikipedia, Chris.
The Britannica.
Also, you did stop interrupting me.
Sorry.
Anyway, so basically, all these games are known for their amazing art style, and it really, the cell shading allows for developers to tell a more engaging story without trying to look like every other game on the market. They can really stylize their video games, and again, because of the way that's being like as far as how the artwork looks, it looks good no matter what generation you're actually looking on. So a game that comes out on the Xbox One is going to look really good on the Xbox Series A, B, C, D, E, F, G when that comes out. So yeah, that's my
wait
argument.
For that one to come out.
That's going to be the best console ever.
Exactly.
So you get the opportunity to ask Will one question if you would like.
You don't have to, though.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd like to listen to the opposing side before I get to ask any questions.
Well, the problem is,
really,
if you don't ask a question to Will, you don't get to ask a question at all.
Oh, now you're just making that up. Now you're just making that up, Chris.
It's the order of the steps. I guess if you want to say the steps can be had in any order, then fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fine.
I don't know.
You know
what if I ask a question and you also bring it up in your opposing side? Then I would just be stealing your thunder.
That's a good point.
It's up to you. You're the judge.
I've got no questions. You've made your points well.
No questions, Your Honor. No. All right. Instead of pretending to be Sean Connery, I'm going to argue my defense here. So I think, while I like the points that my counterpart has made about cell shading, and I think cell shading is a great way to preserve games, I think there's actually a couple better options, like, say, vector graphics, like the Vectrex. If you actually could get a Vectrex in HD, the vectors that would show on that screen would be absolutely perfect with no pixels. Vectors are literally the best graphics. They scale the best. SVGs, I'm sure you know what an SVG is, being an artist, Hopeless Peaches. But even better than that... Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, no answers to that. I don't know what that is.
Whoa, lost the argument right there. No, I actually think the best art style for maintaining clarity throughout the generations of games is bits. As in,
I knew
like,
you were gonna go with this.
Because pixel art, you can make pixels bigger or smaller, and they still are pixels. They are perfectly shaped, they fit the artwork, and they can scale to any size screen whatsoever. And I did set up my partner with the cell shading because I thought for sure he'd pick this argument and I'd have this perfect argument to go against him.
Mm-hmm.
So I give you Mario Brothers. Mario Brothers can fit any screen from any device Nintendo has ever produced. Boom. Sonic Mania has proved that people still like 2D side scrollers with, what is that? Bits, pixels, pixel art.
I object.
Okay.
Doing it like an 8-bit or 16-bit limits you to 2D graphics, does it not?
Star Fox has a thing to tell you.
Okay, well that's like semi 3D. That's not really 3D graphics.
I never said. Look at, does cell shading work for 2D games? Sure, but which art style is preserved better? I don't think. I would argue that 3D games can't really be preserved in general. That's my personal opinion. Like, you can make them look better, you can remaster them, you can remake them, but I don't think the art style is necessarily the best for preserving 3D games. I think art is always better at preserving 2D things, which is why I went the route of pixel art. So Axiom Verge, a game that came out in the last 5 years, will be easily scalable to new consoles. Whereas Oceanhorn will eventually have graphics that are no longer nice looking on a big screen in the next, 20 years. At some point, Oceanhorn will look very dated. Wind Waker is a game that required visual upgrades, but it did look nice because of the cel shading. But I still think A Link to the Past will always scale better to newer art styles and last longer than Wind Waker, even though I love the Wind Waker and I love the cel shading in it. So that's my argument. Do you have any questions, Hope Speeches?
No questions.
I'll just show you real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Legend Zelda. I can type, I promise. Legend Zelda. Link to the Past. This game will always scale nicely on new consoles. Because it is pixels, and that's what we like. So now that I've given my argument, since you haven't asked any questions, now we have to do our closing arguments in the opposite order, which means Will gets the last laugh. So he gets to counter all of the things I've just said after I even give my closing argument. So my closing argument is this. Who doesn't love pixel games? They scale up nicely. They're on the Switch, a modern console. They're on the Xbox One, a modern console. They're on the PS4, a modern console. And they are ported every generation from one to the next to the next to the next because they scale nicely and they still look good. That's my argument.
My closing argument, cel shading better. It looks so clean, even across generations. And also you can have 3D games. Fully 3D games.
There's your perfect example, Will. The Wind Waker. All right, Hopeless Peaches. It is your turn to say whether you agree with Will or me, or you throw it out and we both go to jail.
You both make good points. However, you missed one crucial factor in all of this. So I'm gonna throw out both of your arguments and make my own.
There you go. Okay, I want to hear it.
Okay, so you guys have been saying a lot about what will hold up and what won't, and what's the best for games of the time. However, if you look back through both cel shading, pixel, any kind of games, there was always the original pixel, the original cel shading that doesn't hold up today like some do nowadays. You'll see like the first Elder Scrolls game for your pixel style that you'll say, and no matter how you look at it, when you play that game, it is pretty impossible to be able to see what's going on in that game. However, in something like Undertale or like the original Sonic from 1991, it'll hold up. The same as cel shading. Some cel shaded games will stand up today when some just don't. They'll look murky. Like, as we said in the previous podcast of yesterday, Killer 7 was a cel shaded game that does not stand up today because it just did not work. The graphics was not able to keep up with the cel shading. So that's 1 point against both of your arguments that you didn't say about that. Even though you're using pixel or cel shaded, there's points where they just don't hold up against their predecessors of either style. And that goes with any kind of thing. The more that we progress with our technology, the more outdated it'll look. So the main thing is, instead of thinking about what will hold up in the future, you got to think what will actually look good in the game that you're using. If Wind Waker, for instance, thought cel shading won't stand up in 10 years, let's use pixel art, you'll not have Wind Waker, you'll have a completely different game. And then we can use one that neither of you brought up, which is like the realism, like kind of art style. If we look at The Last of Us, even though maybe at some point in the future it won't look as good, like The Last of Us 2 looks better than The Last of Us 1 in a few ways. The Last of Us still does stand up the test of time in quite a few places, but it's more the atmosphere that you make from that game that you couldn't get from cel shaded or from pixel art or from vectors or anything like that. You're trying to make a kind of atmosphere that you just can't do with certain other styles, and that's what it all comes down to. Different types of game styles make different kinds of atmospheres, and that's what it all comes down to in the end. Not how good it'll look like with technology, but how it'll stand up with the game you're trying to make.
Fair.
And that is final argument.
Peaches wins. Peaches wins. And yet again, Will, you and I lose. Will and I can't win a single one of these things. Maybe that's by design.
Let me just grab out my best orator certificate from college.
Let me give you the medal.
Thank you.
Anyway, we want to thank Peaches for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's been a blast talking to you for, I don't know how long at this point. I've lost track of time. But we want to thank you for coming on here, and definitely love having you on as a guest, and we'll have to do it again sometime in the future, provided you didn't hate this.
No, I love it. Like, actually, I'm feeling adrenaline because, like, I like debating in my videos, but I'm never actually in front of someone while I'm doing it. So I'm like, oh yes, I'm finally actually in my full element now.
Yes,
this is great.
So, thank you, and we just want to say we hope that your channel grows to 100,000 by the end of the year. That'd be amazing.
No.
No.
I've got a bet on right now, and I need to lose. I need to lose.
You're talking about subscribers like it's like I don't never mind.
No, I'm just.
The subscriber count needs to go down. No.
It needs to. Anyone who is sub to me, just stop. Just come to CHRILLCAST instead, and maybe they can wear a maid outfit. Maybe, I don't know.
What?
I've got a bit of a bet on right now with DW Real Life, where he said in December of last year, he was like, if you hit 100K, you gotta do a face reveal.
In a maid
like
outfit?
Dressed as an anime waifu, and I'm like, hold up, okay, but if I don't hit 100K, you have to do a face reveal as an anime waifu. And I'm like, what do you want
this
more,
idea.
really? Like, so I'm like, I'm just gonna hide away for a while and just hope that DW Relive has to throw away the last of his dignity.
No, you're missing the point. You can draw the body and just have the green screen with just your face. Remember we talked about this.
Yes. It's all coming full circle now. Yes. It all makes sense. Yes, that's perfect.
And do it cel-shaded, obviously. Just for
More
Will, cel-shaded.
We have realistic legs, a pixel body, and cel-shaded arms. How about that?
So you got Tomb Raider. So it's Tomb Raider from the 90s. As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
I'm Hopeless Peaches.
And we will see you
on next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.